Hi, everybody. It's good to be back. I took a day off yesterday. I had my live all planned, everything was ready. We got within a couple of hours, and I looked up and I had this eye was swollen shut. So it was like this, only puffy. So I was like, I don't know. And I kept trying, and I did the hot and I did the cold and all these things. Nothing was working. So I finally just like said, that's enough. I give up. I'm going to just go ahead and postpone. So that's what we did. So it's good to see you guys. so anyway, I'm going to check with my chat and then we're going to get started. How's that? Because we've got a good show today. We've got a really good live. Miss Brooke is just amazing, y'all. And she's so open with us that it's amazing what she's willing to share with us. And I'm hoping that it's good for her, therapeutic for her. And I hope that if there's anybody out there listening that it resides with, that they also get something out of it. I will tell you guys that after her last live, and I've not even shared this with Brooke, I had like 22 people, not people that are normally in the chat. So apparently they're lurkers or on the replay crew that are just lurking and not commenting, because I think two were people that I recognize the name, not like know them, but recognize the name. But anyway, 22 emails from people that said that Brooke's story resonated with them and made them feel like they're not alone. So that's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna check with my chat and then we're gonna get started. So Susan P is here. Good to see you. Marilee H. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being a member. Joe McCoyne. Hello to you all. A girl is here. Good to see you. Mischief Managed. She's here and she'll be watching me. Yeah, okay, the boss is here. Behave. Yeah, Joel. Oh. Yeah, she says I can't be in StreamYard today, so everybody be good. Like she's not gonna be able to like just automatically boot your butts, but she can still get rid of you, and she can't get rid of me. Let's put it that way. Because usually she's got the power that if I'm going too long and she thinks that I need a break, she could just shut it off. So, Eileen Bradley, it's so good to see you. Yes, TKK, good morning. Afternoon here, but good morning to you. Yes, I did rest and I did regain some strength, and I went to the doctor today. So, we do have a very serious trigger warning, y'all. So, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and place that on there. So, yeah, we're going to have a great stream. La Chameleon, good to see you. Absolutely. Okay. I can't shut you down today. I wouldn't put it past her to find a way. So, anyway, y'all, really quick before I get started on this, I did go to my oncologist today. I am doing pretty good. Um, I'm extremely dehydrated, which we took some measures with that today, some fluids and stuff. So, um, we took care of that. Hi, Constance June, good to see you. Um, took care of that. I am anemic, but not enough to need a blood transfusion yet. I'm low on vitamin D, which cracks me up because I'm in the sun all the time and I drink milk and eat cheese and all the and instant breakfast and all these things that should bring that up, but I'm really, really, really lacking in vitamin D. Oh, don't you dare, Marilee. It says we can all threaten to leave if Susie doesn't listen. Don't you guys leave me. Anyway, we'll be fine. I promise. I'm good. I'm sitting back on my bed. So I'm, pretty rested right now. But anyway, I did find out that the chemo that they're giving me is really, really strong. I kept thinking, it's a pill. It's probably not as strong as some. Why is it affecting me so bad? And I was just really pouty about it. I'm trying to figure out what is going on with me. Oh, it's come unplugged. Hold on just a second. That's what's going on with me. Oh, goodness. Now I can raise myself back up. Oh, gosh. There we go. Sorry about that, y'all. If the iPad gets unplugged, I'm in trouble. So anyway, um, I thought that the medicine wasn't very strong, but apparently it is extremely strong, and that the reason that they give it to me in a pill then is because they can't give it to you all at once, because if they did, it's too strong, and they had people that were dying. So I'm going to quit complaining. I guess it is strong. I just wanted it to. I'm trying to move my box to get myself set up here. I just wanted it to be strong enough to kill the cancer, because yeah, I'm leaning and I can't get up. I was like, oh crap. They're gonna see me flip flop off this bed in a minute. Oh. But anyway, so I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I felt like I got some answers today. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm exhausted, and I'm gonna be exhausted till this is over, the end of November. I am getting ready to have my PET scan in a few days. So anyway, yeah, I've been there, done that. I leaned over and I'm like, oh, because my body is propped up with boxes and everything, because of this stupid laptop, or this, not laptop, but this iPad. And so I was just like, I have got myself in a pickle, but I got up. So anyway, I'm going to get started, y'all. So again, I'm going to ask that we not ask a lot of questions of Brooke. I mean, normal questions, yes, but not for details, okay? Like names, places, that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that she can't talk about legally, and something that she's just not comfortable with. So we're not going to ask a lot of, those kind of questions. We absolutely ask her just normal questions, but just not, names and places kind of thing. Anyway, my mods are again instructed to not put up with any shenanigans. So if you're here for shenanigans, you might as well just see yourself out. Oh my goodness. Because they will be seeing you out. They're just not going to put up with anything today. So again, today, as I did the other day, if you feel so inclined to give any kind of monetary donations, as in super chats or anything like that, to the channel today, please direct those to um, Brooke's links, and I'll ask that my mods. I think Mischief Managed has those links. We can find them if not, but we'll get her links up. Please send any monetary donations that you would have sent me today. Send them to her. She's trying to recover from a burglary, and you know what? She just deserves a little help, you know? She just deserves a little help. So there's that, but if you can't give monetarily, just be kind. That means every bit as much to her as any kind of monetary, probably more, because she won't ask for money. This is me. She told me, she's told us, Eric and I both, that she didn't want to ask for money, but we're doing it anyway because we don't listen. So anyway, I hope this day finds you all good and healthy. I'm feeling pretty good, as I said. Um, if you missed part one of Brooke's story, please go back and watch that. You can watch this one first if you want to, because that one dealt with her childhood. This one's going to deal with her adulthood. And then the one that we'll do probably Friday will deal with now, how she's doing right now. And I see Brooke's mommy in here, so welcome to you, Karen. Anyway, we're going to look at Brooke's life as an adult today. Her story is, as I have said, incredible and tough. You know, she's not in a cult, has not been in a cult, but her trauma and abuse has, it mirrors so much of what does go on in a cult. And besides that, we're also just talking about just all of our stories and people's different stories of different kinds of control and abuse. So that's what we're here for today. She is so amazing to me. She reminds me so much of the second and third gen survivors because she's, how they're so kind and everything, I don't know, but they are, and so is she. So today, our story is about victimization, but it is also about survival. And she is an amazing, amazing, amazing survivor. So if any of you have stories that you'd like to share with us, please get a hold of me on my email. It is butfirstcoffee underscore Susie Oberholtz at yahoo.com. Um, please just get a hold of me. I am currently trying to schedule some lives with different people. Okay. So we're going to talk to her today. So everybody get comfortable and let's welcome our lovely friend, Brooke Elliott, to the stage for part two of her amazing story. Hello. It's good to see you. Just was
Hello.
you a little bit before we got started, but it's
Hmm.
always good to see you on the screen. I like having somebody with me actually, so I don't feel quite so alone. I don't know. It feels good to have somebody there. I need a co-host, I guess.
Right. Now you don't feel like you're just talking to yourself at your phone or
Exactly.
your computer.
Exactly, because I can look at your picture and I feel like I'm looking and talking to you instead of just looking at me. Because, oh, I just hate that. I feel like so, it feels narcissistic to me to just sit and stare at yourself. So I'm always like looking around. And then I get people on there that goes, she's looking for rainbows and, all this, I don't know, rainbows and unicorns. She's always looking up at the sky. And I'm like, well, it beats sitting there staring at my face.
Just hoping for a bag of awesome to fall from the air. That's all I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
I know. I'm like looking for that awesome sauce to just rain down on me. That's what
Mhm.
it is.
Like, come on, puppies and
Yes.
kittens.
Unicorns and rainbows and whatever else.
Mm.
Speaking of which, we're
And the
going to.
end of Scientology. The
Yeah.
end.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to open my coffee real quick because I have to keep my mouth wet, y'all, or my mouth sores get the best of me. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about your adulthood today. So, as I've said before, and I told the chat, I asked them, I don't know if you can hear me when you're in the backstage, but I did ask
Okay.
them to not ask you any, like, definitive questions like people, place, names and places and that sort of thing. Again, I want
Yeah.
you to talk about what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable, don't talk about it. If you need a break, we will take a break. So, whatever you need to,
Okay.
okay? You're in
Yes,
charge.
ma'am.
I'm just here. So, let's get
Well, I'll
started.
just chat so your mouth doesn't hurt. So that's easy on me. I can gab all day.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you, chat. I can't read you, but I just want to say hi and thank you. And I know my mom's there, so to you.
Yes, she is.
And thank you for all my friends that are here. So it's thank you. Gives me a little strength to be like, okay, I'm going to talk to my friends now.
It does. It really does.
Now, the last one, I can say that the last interview, it was easier for me to manage because I've had a lot of therapy for that. EDRM, a lot of talk therapy, role playing, like, and
Mm.
not just in this country. I also did it while I was in Germany and I was
Wow.
over in Europe and I got therapy over there as well. Well, international therapy, at least I'm certified in multiple countries now.
Mm.
But where we had left off was me finally leaving Crown Point area, was leaving where I was living and then moving to where I started school in 2001. And I had taken my senior trip August 11th of 2001. to New York City. And 1 month later, we had 9/11.
Oh.
I was in college when that happened. Our power went out. We saw the planes hit. We
Mhm.
all freaked out. And when you're in college, everybody's from everywhere. So
Mhm.
it started like my college started with a bang.
Evidently.
um, it was really difficult because you're in college and it's your first year out. So you're like, are we being attacked? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure everyone remembers
Oh, yeah. You're
that
still a
year.
baby at that point. You might be in college, but you're still like a baby as far
I
as
was
the
18.
world, as far as the world goes. Bless your
Yep.
heart.
I was so it was really difficult. Now, this is the story where I met my ex-husband at this time. I actually had been texting, like typing him on Yahoo Messenger. If you if you remember
Mhm.
way back when it was cool to have I was
Yeah.
showing my mother when I was 13 how to use the computer and instant messenger. And I went into this pool room on Yahoo and I just picked a random name, which happens to be my ex-husband at 13.
Awesome.
And I said ASL, age, sex, location, which was our leet speak back in the day when we were cool kids.
Yeah.
So, and his reply was moo. Because
Move.
he'd never been in a he'd never been in a live action, and I thought that was, like, the funniest thing I ever did see. Because I was like, first of all, you're 13, so
Yeah.
stupid things are hilarious.
Yeah. I understand. I'm looking at it from my 13-year-old brain. So,
Right, you're like, "What a weirdo," right? I mean, it's just so it was interesting. I mean, and we just didn't more do anything more than play pool or talk, and me showing my mother how to use a computer because it was
mhm.
pretty new in our house at that time.
Mhm.
So we can move forward because I didn't actually get to meet him until I went to college. He
Wow.
moved to New York to come to college.
That is so
Now I'm not. Oh, yes.
that's like
He at
5 years.
16. Yeah, at 16, he's like, I love you, and we know my past. So my answer was, what? I'm 16. I have no idea what love is. Neither do you.
Bless your
My
heart.
toolbox was not. Well, I'm pretty proud of that moment because that
I am
was like a
too.
right. I knew what I didn't know. I knew what I didn't have.
I
But
mean, because some people,
2001.
like, run towards love. Like, they
Yeah.
want it, they crave it. Like, they think, "Okay, this is gonna be what love really is." So for you to say, "What?" "Back off, dude. I don't know what love is." That's big. I think that's huge.
Yeah. And it's not that I didn't seek it elsewhere or seek some
Yeah.
sort of a fatherly, I guess, figure is what I was looking for most of anything, or at least validation that I existed. I mean,
Mhm.
at least people that would call my name would be nice, you know?
Yeah. Not
Um,
fun.
not Spawn. I mean, I could be if I needed to, but come on
Me
now.
too.
Way cuter than Spawn. So 2001, I go to college, trade center. My ex and I moved in together after. Okay, so we went over the first semester with the gang R. Um, I There was legal action there. I can't go into it.
Mhm.
I just could say there was legal action,
Mhm.
and circa 2001, if you still recall, women were still getting blamed for, well, what were you wearing?
Yes.
Why did you go there?
Still
Did
do.
you drink?
Mhm.
And so that was a lot. When all I was
Mhm.
looking for was my fundamental rights to be acknowledged.
Mhm.
So I took off a semester because I wasn't mentally prepared for that.
Yeah.
And then I went back not for the very following semester. And that's when my ex had moved up, and we ended up moving in together in a communal building for college. So he was going to go to college while I was going to college.
Mhm.
But because he's from out of state, and that's right, I picked all the way from the middle of the country to date somebody. He
Mhm.
took the drive and drove all the way over. And I started college for, at that time, I was doing I had finished, no, I did environmental, and then I had just finished, I started nursing as well, with mathematics at the same time. So
Wow.
I could get, I liked calculus, and really statistics was my thing.
Yeah.
Really like that stuff.
My sister loves
So
that
I
kind.
was doing geology and graphs, I guess, for most of that time. But at that time, we also, when 9/11 hit, we went down, and I introduced him to my family, and he got to know everybody. And I introduced him to Satan, and Satan didn't like him.
Oh,
He
of course
said,
not.
"You don't hunt? You don't fish? What the hell's wrong with you? You like computers?" And you're just like,
That's like
yes,
me. My
completely opposite of you.
my ex-boyfriend was, the whole cowboy type, country boy, cowboy, that. And my husband now is a city boy. So when I brought him home, my dad was like, "What am I going to talk to him about?" And I'm like, "He'll find things." Just try. And now they chat all the
We
time.
both tie shoes. We tie shoes. We
Yeah.
we eat food. We
Yeah.
wear clothing. I mean, there's pretty simple things we can talk about. We also enjoy weather. Start simple, get to know, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's fast forward a little bit. So, after 9/11, I'm going to school, and my ex and I were talking, and we're trying to figure out, what should be our next steps. And college was really expensive for somebody from out of state.
Yeah.
So it was, for me, it was 22,000 a semester. For
Oh
him,
God.
it would have been like 47,000 a semester
Oh my God.
because he was from out of state. Yeah. So, and how do I put this? My ex grew up like, are you familiar with Harry Potter?
Hmm. Very much. Read all the books, watched all the movies.
All right. So the very first part, we see Harry in a little under the stairs
Hmm.
bedroom, right? That he had to make his
Hmm.
own, the storage shed. My ex-husband grew up living in the basement of a 3-story home in the Christmas closet where he had to make his own shift bed in the back corner.
Hmm.
So he technically, I called him my Harry Potter after the book started coming out, because
Oh.
it made sense. He was raised by all women, so he never swore. He opened doors. I'm like, who
Wow.
are you? I was like, I swear like a fish, girl. I have no problem breaking out
Yeah.
the words. I'm saucy. Uh,
Oh.
so so I kind of was like taken aback because he was so super kind, would write love notes and all stuff. And I just never, ever had seen that before. I never had that kind of interaction. So
Hmm.
I fell in love.
Well, yeah. Who would?
And he asked me, we had both worked at Burger King back in the day, at college because it was easy. Yeah, $6 an hour.
Yeah.
So
Heck,
we
I know.
were there, of course, you got to make ends meet. So we both worked there. And one night I had worked, he didn't. He took the night off. I had no clue why, but he went through our apartment, put candles, about 120 candles up everywhere. He took every love note that he had made for me and put them up right from the beginning of the door all the way through. Um, and I was reading the notes, and you can't help but to smile. And you walk in, and there's all the candles and stuff. All the roommates were gone. It was just him. And
Oh,
I walked into our room, and he was there, and he had a rose, and he was on one knee, and he asked me to marry him. And I was
oh
like,
my
oh my
God.
goodness. Yeah. I mean, it felt storybook like, right?
Yeah.
So my first thing I thought was, with our background, I was like, did you ask my family?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's like, no. Does your family still do this stuff? I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been married before.
Yeah.
I said, we could probably just, kind of break it to him, say, hey, we were planning on getting married, and just let it go from there. So we planned a night down. I'm sure my mother's gonna laugh at this because I'm sure she remembers it. We go down to my parents' house, because college was just a couple hours away
Hmm.
where I um we go down to my parents' house, and I'm sitting on the couch, and my ex-husband sitting next to me, and next to him is my mother, and my father's always in his chair or nobody touches,
Yeah.
Um, and we're just sitting there, and my ex-husband goes, "So, I'd like to marry this girl." Like points over his head at me to be like, "Yeah, I'd like to marry her." And I'm like, "Really? Is this how we're doing it? This is how we're doing it? Okay." Well, at that time, I was just kind of like smiling. My mom was like, super excited because she
Oh,
really
yeah.
liked my ex. He was a nice guy, and he was very respectful
Mhm.
and smart, super amazing with computers. I mean, I
Wow.
called him the computer whisperer. Like he could just walk by a computer and just start working. I'd be like, that's weird. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So at that time, my father's like, all right, when he wanted to have a conversation with another man that had to do with me, he'd call you bub as another man. Come here, bub, is what you'd hear. So he
Mhm.
took my ex into his game room, and his game room is full of cabinets of guns and bullets and dead animals and his hunting gear and, you know,
Yeah. A
his
real man.
game room. hmm Well, apparently they had a serious conversation about what my ex told me was that he said, "And how do you plan on providing for her? You only like computers. I mean, don't you think you should go in the military, or you should be providing for her?" Now y'all know me, I can do it myself kind of a girl.
Yeah. I don't
So
need you to
I
provide.
already was already pushing away from that
Yeah.
business of, needing a permission, let alone needing someone to provide for me.
Yeah, to provide for you. Exactly.
But my ex took it to heart. Like he was like, "Oh, I need to do more."
Mm.
Little did I know that conversation happened till, a couple years later. So
First of all, very
we had
short-sighted
it.
of Satan because computer people that know computers can make a lot of money.
Yes,
More
he's
than
brilliant.
military people, you
This
know.
will lead to why I got to travel the world,
Yeah.
was because he's brilliant. Truly.
Mhm.
We used to have conversations about the craziest stuff. Anything, name it. We talked about black holes, religion. We talked about politics. We talked about um Herculean efforts on how to clean the ozone layer. What do we do about, I mean, it was just
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Fossils. We wanted to go do the pyramids. I mean, we literally, my aim was, I don't want to sit still. I need to see the world. I'll be a bigger and better person if I can see the world.
Mhm.
And that's what we agreed together, it was like, yeah, that's, as long as our paths were matched at that time. I said, school's number one. I said, I don't plan on getting married until I'm 30, and I don't plan to have a child until I know we're comfortable. Like, I literally, since 12 years old, I wrote it out. I have my little mermaid diary I used to write in. I have the same list of
Mm.
everything I've ever wished for on that list. And to this day, I have always followed that list
That's
because it
so
was to my core what I wanted. The only thing that didn't happen is I did not get to go and feed and take care of dolphins, was the only
oh,
thing that was on that list that I didn't get taken care
yeah.
of.
Hey, you know.
Substituted for others. So so after, like I said, after 9/11 happened, and um this is 2002, because we informed my parents that we were getting married around Christmas, because that's about what, when we decided to tell him we were getting married. So 2002, we're planning the wedding, because he already knew I'm not getting married early. Well, he's like, well, I think I'm gonna join the military. And he joined the army. He did. He joined the army as an E2, um, and started a whole new path for us,
Mhm.
because as soon as he got in there and he was doing his,
Whoops. Where'd she go? You're
oopsie.
back. You're back.
Okay. Where was I? Oh, so he started basic training and all that. And military definitely breaks you down.
Mhm.
It breaks you down to build you up for what what is needed for the job. It literally numbs your abilities to face things that are just disgusting so that you will, shoot on command. And don't get me wrong, I love my military, but I know what
Too.
I saw it. I saw what it can do too.
Yeah.
It's not meant for everyone. It really
No.
isn't.
No, it's not.
Um, and with my ex's background, I really don't think that was I really don't think that was his best choice, really, but I understand why he did it.
Yeah.
One, he's thinking pre-college.
Yeah,
He came from a
exactly.
broken family, and I remember that was the big push. If you couldn't afford it, and college was pushed really hard back in our days, really, really hard.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's like, "Oh, well, I'll go to college, and then I'm serving the country, and we should, I need to join because of what happened in 9/11. I know
Yeah.
I need to protect
It
us."
all just kind of,
So all of that, right. And how the information comes in when we don't have all the information on why we were at war, who we were fighting, exactly where was the cause. A lot of that plays into this
mhm.
because it screwed with my life.
Yeah.
So in 2003, my ex got told he will be shipping out to Iraq.
Mm.
And so we were getting prepared, and he's like, we should really get married because if something happens to me, I know I need you to take care of my family, and I want you to be taken care of, and I'm like, really? You really think we should get married to do all that? You don't think we can just, we can just do this beforehand? He's like, no, no, no. It's the right thing. We should just do this. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, well, you're in basic, so that means I'm planning the wedding. That means I'm going to provide and do it all. He's like, I don't care what we do. He's like, as long as you're there. And I was like, okay. So I planned an outdoor wedding, which included 1 million flowers being planted in my grandmother's rose garden outside, nighttime wedding, black and white, did all the invitations by hand, invited 400 people, guests, made up the food, got everything in order, got
Wow.
everything thrown together within 4 months. I had everything ready. We were set for September 28th, 2003. 1 week before our marriage, my ex went to airborne school. He jumped out of a plane. And you're supposed to do what's called a PLDF, which is a kind of like pulling, and you kind of roll so you don't
Mhm.
hurt yourself or break your legs. Well, he happened to land on the only molehill hill in the flattest of flattest areas down south. And he ripped both of his Achilles and both of his ankles, but both of them 1 week before the wedding.
Mm.
So that week before the wedding, I'm canceling everything. I've got cake cutter things with our numbers and our information all on it. I'm like,
My goodness.
okay, plan B. So I could return a lot of things, but not everything. Like my wedding dress, I didn't have to worry about getting that anymore. That was $800 I didn't have to worry about. Thanks, mom.
Yeah.
I didn't, so I did a lot of returning, but I was like, okay, but what are we supposed to do? Well, he got a weekend pass on October, I'm going to say 18th, October 18th. He was able to come from Georgia to New York
Mhm.
from the 18th, 19th, and 20th. We got married under a courthouse in the basement by somebody by the judge. I was in a black dress. The two witnesses I had were in their pajamas. It was 7:30 p.m. It was like, "Hey, can you be there?" And they were like, "Oh, I'm in my pajamas. I'm babe, anything." And they were like, I'm getting in the car right now." It was one of those kind of moments.
Yeah.
So that wasn't quite the wedding I was looking for,
Yeah.
but that's just the wedding you were gonna get. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right. 3 days after we got married, I didn't see him for 2.5 years. He went to he fought in OIF and OEF. So that's Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. He went to Kuwait, Iraq, and did all that. And I'm still in college. So I'm taking phone calls and I'm writing letters and I'm sending care packages whenever I can, plus working and keeping a 4.0 average. And then I can start when he went from Kuwait into OIF into BIOP. I don't, and I know these are probably terms nobody knows, but it's just when he went into like where Saddam's castles are. You see the two swords that cross.
Mhm.
That's known as BIOP. That's in the green zone. He was he would stay in connexes there when you're there, which are
Mhm.
like the things you bring behind a truck,
Mhm.
tractor trailer truck, those big things. Well, that's what they live in when they're
Mhm.
there because it's it's for blasts and all that. It's safer. He was sleeping with his helmet and his bullet stuff and his boots, but he couldn't wear boots while he was there because he had two torn ankles. That's right, because they still sent him with torn ankles
Mhm.
over for this fight. So he had to wear sneakers opposed to boots over there. And he definitely got bit by a brown recluse and like crazy, no, camel spider. He got bit by a camel spider. I mean, it was this crazy, crazy stuff that was happening. And then our friends were dying nonstop. Like
Mhm.
every time he went out, I was nervous. You could hear gunshots. It was nonstop. I had to stop after I had to stop school for a little while. And because every time he called, that's the only thing I was concentrating on. You could hear the do 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 and the bombs, and then he was like, "Oh, I almost got hit by a mortar today," and I,
Mhm.
or he'd be offline for 3 days because they sent him out to go
Mhm.
put an antenna on something by himself in the middle of nowhere, and the type of work he did, he didn't always have a battle buddy when he needed it,
Yeah.
and he was in Um, I remember a story he told me that where like him and Abu Ghraib in the prison, and he's hiding in the Sistine part where the prisoners would go potty.
Mhm.
He had to hide because insurgents came in, like 300 of them, and he's by himself. Like these are the things that he's telling me, and I'm hearing this and I'm replaying
Yeah.
it, and he's telling me
Yeah.
I lost my friend. He caught his friend's brain in his hands, kind of stuff. Like that's the level of
Yeah.
stuff that is being reiterated to me over a phone. I can't breathe. I can't function. I couldn't move. It was like every day I was like, is he alive? Are you alive? I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. It was crazy.
Mhm.
Um I don't know. I just I couldn't go to school. I mean, I'm sure it makes sense. I mean,
It does.
now when I
It
look
does.
back at it, it makes sense to me. I was like, oh, that's kind of trauma, sweet pea, you know?
Yeah. It was trauma.
So,
It is trauma.
right, right. So I did end up, um, he did get a reprieve, from being over there. I went back to school and continued going to college. He was over in OIF, OEF from 2005. Um, all that whole year, 2004, 5. That's all I can remember. He was in 03. So 2003, 2004, 2005, because he came back home and we left for Germany because he got stationed there. So this is where the fun comes because
So did
finally he's back
so you
home.
got to go to Germany?
You bet your bottom. I went all over Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have been
Because
the same
what
way.
Oh, yeah, and I even told him, I said, I hope you know we're going to travel around because I can't sit still. This was the whole reason. I learned French in school and I was so excited to be like, ah, je m'appelle Brooke, and thought I was so cool that I could go over there in Paris and get the cool kid. They don't like
Mhm.
Americans. They didn't really like me. Got a lot of stupid American, I was like, oh, okay. All right. I'll go take my French over here. So when he came to, I'm going to call it collect me because we had gotten married and whatever, we could travel together now.
Yeah.
So, um, when we went to Germany, we had to wait to get a post house. And we lived in a town called Kaiserslautern, where there's actually it's the largest city outside of the United States that have Americans in it. There's like 1 million Americans over at the time. So I was having a heyday because I was like, okay, never been to Germany. This is cool. Um, I got to meet so many people and do so many things. We were just waiting for housing. So we were in a hotel for like 30 days, which sucked because you have everything you could think of that you brought with you. And on day one of moving into our new flat, which happened to be the fifth floor of a building, all stairs in Germany, there's no elevators. So you bring everything up 5 flights of stairs, but we were military, so we did it. You just carry on, soldier. So day one, we get everything set up. We got our bedding in. They delivered our furniture, because you can borrow from the military until your furniture gets delivered. Uh, we get everything ready. It's like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. at night, and I believe Germany was 8 hours ahead here. So I walked into the bedroom, and my ex was laying down, and he got up because I'm putting stuff away, and I'm like, "Hey, can you put your stuff away so I'm not kicking it in the middle of the night?" Out of nowhere, he gets up and he punches the wall right by my head.
Hmm.
This is night one, since I haven't seen him in years. Night one.
That's always, yeah, great.
I
Mm.
called my family and said, "I'll be packing up. I'm coming home." I don't know who the hell this person is. We had a long discussion that night because he said, in this point, I'm going to just use a reference as, instead of calling him Teddy anymore, I have to call him Ted.
Okay.
Like, I've always known him as Teddy since I was 13. Everybody called him that. And now, since he's back, he says, "My name is Ted." Like, he was point blank, dead
Mhm.
eye, and in your face. And this is not the same person that I just told you all those sweet stories about
Yeah, absolutely.
at all. This was a whole nother person, and I had to get to know this man that I just married.
Yeah, you
And I
married
just got
one
back in
man and
contact with.
you moved in with another man.
Yes. So I was kind of like, what my father had said is, "You made your bed, now lie in it," was his response to my, "I want to come home."
Yeah.
So, so I did that, and there was a lot of pushback because I was like, "I don't know who you think I am, but I can't, that's not who I handle. And that's not what I'm married into. So I'm going to go ahead and sleep on the couch." So you do you.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit. I get kind of used to it because, again, we hadn't lived with each other for a couple years because he was gone
Mhm.
and he went to the army, and he was in the war, and I got this
Yeah.
person back, and it just kept getting worse. It kept getting worse. Like, all these little things would start to bother him, and he didn't want to travel, and there was no more going to fireworks, and I could understand. I was like, "Oh, PTSD for sure, or
Mhm.
PTSI, or." I didn't get back the same man because we always did those sorts of things. So I was like, okay, I and I worked myself to be what he needed, basically. In the middle of doing that, because I didn't realize what I was doing was losing pieces of who I am to better suit our marriage. And that's okay because we do give up pieces of who we are
Absolutely.
to move forward. And I was like, okay, I'm confident in our relationship and this is what I want. And I really don't want a divorce. And I think that would be silly and it's quite rude. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. I do love him. Well, while I was there, I was like, well, okay, I'm going to go see a therapist. And I continued going to school online.
Mhm.
At that point, I got to go to AMU University, Colorado Technical University. I did a couple of them, because
Mhm.
go get it. uh, and he started doing college as well because I was like pushing him, like, come on, we can do this. And I was like, okay, but we also need to travel. So we went to lots of fun places. I was there to see, I don't know how much soccer you follow, but I was there when Germany versus Italy for the for the big title, for their big title. So I was like, woo. I had an Italian shirt on in Germany, which apparently is a faux pas. Oops.
Yeah.
But I was recognized with my family as being more on Italian side, so I was like, "Italia," not probably your best choice in
Yeah.
Germany, but I was like, "Oh, okay." But I went to all sorts of pubs and had a great time and just danced around the whole city and had a blast. I got to see Oktoberfest. I went to Edelweiss. I got to sit in a 40-person hot tub outside looking at the Alps as people were, going down them.
That's amazing.
How often do you get to see I went to the Swiss Alps? You know, it
Yeah.
was all these, like, cool places. I got lost in Austria and was held at gunpoint. That was fun. Don't go there if you go in a wrong turn. They do aim guns at you. Makes
Mhm.
sense. Let's see. I went to Amsterdam. I went to France. I traveled, but I didn't always travel with him because he didn't want to go. So I
Yeah.
ended up doing a lot of this on my own, which is fine, but I made friends, like, and I made all sorts of interesting friends, like, name it. Name a type of friend, I made them because I just
Mhm.
wanted to know. While I was over there, I learned to bake, um, German bread, and, and that's when I got the Sprechen Sie Deutsch, you got to speak German. I wanted to learn German because while you're there, I always think etiquette-wise is learn the language where you stay, and,
Yeah.
you're probably more apt to be brought in. I mean, we try to Americanize everything. Everybody's
At least
like,
make an
probably
effort.
why
They
Right.
appreciate an effort, even if you're not great, you know.
Correct. Yeah. They'll know, but you're trying. And as long as you can try to communicate, because not everybody's going to be
Yeah.
able to do that. Now, the first way I ever learned languages was seriously starting with the swear words because,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it's just how I roll. but but obviously, I wanted to know how to say go to the bathroom, or
Of
is
course.
this a one way? Einbahnstraße? Is this a one way? Like, it's making sure. And I got my driver's license while over there, and all I gotta say is I have never been on a more scarier road in my whole life than going on the Autobahn, because there is places that you have no speed limit, and you watch accidents, and you're in Stau, which is traffic, and you turn off your car for, like, 4, 6 hours just sitting in traffic. It's the craziest thing, and they had bathrooms, self-cleaning bathrooms, and I was like, I felt like I was in a whole, I mean, it was a new world, obviously, but it was like small town girl going out in this, and I was like, "All right, this is cool." It just happened to be what I did. So I got to do a lot of traveling while over there, but I didn't always get to do it with him. So I felt like we kept getting more apart. Well, a tragedy happened. My grandpa, um, my mom's stepdad, ended up with throat cancer, and we were like, "Okay, we need to come home." I mean, there was some other tragedies also happened, but I don't really wanna go into too much detail on
Okay.
that.
That's fine.
Um, our home base was going to be, "Okay, we're leaving in November. We got approved, and we can go back and take care of grandpa," and he ended up passing away before I got to go home and say goodbye. But I was there to, bury him and be there with my family. We went from there to Uh, well, all over the United States, really. I've lived in Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. I've lived in Louisiana, Arkansas. Lived in Germany. Lived in, or sorry, Texas to New Mexico to Washington, Seattle. We went to Vegas, Arizona. So really, it ended up being 42 states and 8 countries is what I ended up doing. When I got to Texas, um, at this time, I'm thinking I want a baby. So, it feels like that time when I was like, okay, I think we're ready. We've been married long enough. And while we're in Texas, we bought our first home in El Paso, Texas. I actually bought right outside of El Paso. Um, I really liked it down there. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
So, and then I started to learn Spanish, and I was like, cool, pick that one up. And we were right on the border. So we were connected to Fort Bliss in El Paso, if you're familiar with
Mhm.
the area. Um, and while we were there, Tom had, um, Ted, sorry, had gone up ranks. We were going to be going up to E7. I don't know how well you know the ranks, but there's
Yeah.
E9, so it's enlisted. So E1 through 9. When we went to uh, Texas, he was already an E6 and looking to be picked up as an E7. They informed him that he couldn't because of his ankles. So he was permanently disabled and he had two choices.
So he was going
Either
to go to
he
war.
Mm, correct,
Yeah.
correct. And that's what we said. I was like, wait a minute. What are you saying? They said,
Yeah.
well, you just got to sign off. You just have to sign this piece of paper. Now, at this time in Texas, I'm learning law,
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend. I was like, oh, what? Excuse you? You want him to sign what? And it's to take it off so that he'll say, oh, I'm better now. So that he could become an E7 to be picked up. And I was like, to hell you aren't signing that. I was like, you don't agree to that. That was something that established to happen while you were in the military. So no, tell them that you'll go to the doctors and if you qualify for it, they will medically discharge you. And he said that to him. He says, if there's no other way, if you're telling me I have no other way to go up in ranking, then either I want to become a warrant officer and continue my thing, or I bet I can get medically discharged in 2 weeks. One thing you know about Ted is don't challenge him because he will
Mm-hmm.
prove himself right. He is one of those. I don't know. He's a coder on his computer, so he's like A plus B does equal C.
Yeah.
Well, the commander at the time was like, "Do it. I bet you won't." Well, 2 weeks later, he signed all of his documents, returned in all our military stuff, and he was medically discharged. And I was like, "Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Then now we can figure out where do we want to settle and be. I mean, do you want to stay in this country? Do you want to go to another country? Would you prefer to stay in Texas, or did you find another state that you liked?" And at that time, it was more like, where can you thrive? And I wasn't worried so much about where I could thrive, but where he could thrive with his PTSD, because it continued to get worse.
Mm.
And the reason I liked where we were in El Paso is because we were, surrounded by military members. So it was like they could understand when we had a conversation or had a party. We had that, just like that likeliness, kind of like how the
Absolutely.
second gens do. They speak
Absolutely.
that whole language. Military has their own
They have
language.
their own
So when I
language
say,
too. Absolutely.
right, same thing, same thing. That's why I'm like, oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I can understand why the
Mm-hmm.
community is so important, because
Mm-hmm.
we can be like, hey, did you ever have to, what was your MOS? It's that whole lingo
Absolutely.
again.
And
Program,
when
right?
you're around them, you're more apt to use that lingo when you're around other
Yeah.
military people because they're
Yeah.
using it, so it all comes back to you, like
Right.
you know.
And I thought maybe that's what was going to help him with his issues of being more out and doing things and opening up and communicating that issue and seeing if he can solve these things, because I can't solve it for him. I could just be the support there because as his wife, I figured kind of my duty.
Yeah,
Plus, I loved him. I didn't want anything
for
bad
better
for
or
him.
worse, and
So,
sickness and health, and
correct. I took those vows pretty dang serious. I mean, it was in a courtroom after all.
yeah, with people in pajamas.
So, and people in pajama. I mean, I was wearing black in front of this judge. So I'm just saying, it was like all the way to the end, sir. Well,
Where we got married, we got married in a gazebo, and somebody had egged it the night before. So there was
wait,
egg
was that
dripping off
them
of it.
speaking up first?
No, it was like some kids because it was like Halloween weekend. And yeah, so it
Oh,
had like egged it the night. There was like egg dripping off of it, and we're like, oh, okay.
um, okay. I guess we're feeding the birds some
Yeah.
egg stuff, I guess. Well, I mean, as long as it wasn't somebody saying before, the whole marriage
Mhm.
thing where you say, and who here has
No,
any
no, this
room?
totally had nothing to do with us, but still, it was like, ugh.
Oh,
And our minister farted twice.
was he an old man?
It was an old woman.
Oh, my Lanta. Well,
Yeah.
different type of blessing, I guess.
Yeah. We laughed through the whole ceremony because of all this. Yeah.
I would have. I was like, are we really taking this seriously? Is this a joke, though?
Yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. With MS, I get the coughs really bad. And it's hard to stop them a little bit.
Yeah.
I got it. I got them all in. All right. So let's see. I want to make sure I got a lot of this. So I was married for 18 years.
Wow.
When we were in El Paso, I was in Texas. I lived in Texas for 7 years total. I got Tom, Ted, Tom, I don't care at this point. Tom should fine. I got him a really cool job. Sorry, MS. It's really hard to do that kind
No,
of I'm trying to be respectful as I can to my
no, I
people
understand.
of my past.
Yeah,
But whatever, at this point, Tom, Dick, Harry, who cares? Um,
just name him something different every
uh,
time I mention him.
yeah, I just, some guy,
Yeah.
some dude I was with. So this
For 18
fella,
years.
18 years with some dude, okay?
Yeah.
And like I said, we were in Texas for 7 years, and in 2012, 2010 is when he was medically discharged.
Hmm.
I was already working HR. I was living my high life. I was doing my thing. I got sick. I was trying to get pregnant. I went in and I got an injection to start my pregnancy stuff because I was already having a hard time because
Hmm.
personally, we didn't use condoms because if it was going to happen, God
Yeah.
willing, it was going to happen. I knew the risks of not using condoms. So I was losing patience. Like, why aren't I getting pregnant? So we went into um a specialist for the military to get looked at, and I got diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which made it makes understandable why I was not getting
Absolutely.
pregnant because it's so difficult. And then they said, "Ooh, we see a spot."
Mm.
Yeah. Well, guess what I popped for? Ovarian, cervical. I, I kept spreading. I had 3 spots in my area with the big C. I was 28,
Mm.
and
Imagine.
then my ex couldn't always go with me to the doctors because you know how it is. You're there. Your second home location is the hospital
Hmm.
because you're there doing tests and getting looked at, and you need
Absolutely.
this and you need that. They got to the point where like, actually, it kept spreading, is what they were worried because when they went in and did the look, it was everywhere, and they were like, I said, we don't have the ability to take care of this. You may just have to either, you know, say your goodbyes or try to find somewhere else you can get treatment. And luckily, I had a nurse there that was like, you should go to Mexico. FDA doesn't approve the drugs here that you're going to need, but they do elsewhere.
Mm.
She gave me a name. She wrote down this name. I just remember it had a letter right in the middle. It was like weird. It was like a weird name of a drug,
Hmm.
and I can't.
Yeah.
I made friends, and God bless her. She passed away. She was killed in a car accident. But Abril, I was there for her first baby. I was there for everything. We were military wife friends.
Hmm.
And her family was from Guadalajara, from Mexico.
Mhm.
And let me just tell you, migration goes both ways. I crossed the border.
Aw.
Mm, probably not the right way. Put it that way. And leave it there. But I went over there, and for 100 euros or 100 pesos, I got to see a doctor. That was
Wow.
$3 American. $3 American. It happened to be a family friend of theirs. So I was like, 100 pesos. And he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I got treatment that I needed that couldn't be give me treatment here in the United States. And I went from a 96 percentile chance of death without any medication to look at me, I survived.
Yeah.
Now, during that, because you know what it's like to have medication and your body just does what the hell it wants,
Randomly.
I still I still worked. I still worked. I
Mhm.
still was doing HR. I was hiring people for Apple, Sprint, Toyota, I mean, name it. That's basically was my background was for everything. I just did everything, and I love tax law. So I worked on everybody's paycheck, and my favorite thing was giving people jobs. And I held the record for 3,000 jobs in a Fortune 500 company giving out jobs. That was my favorite thing ever because people were, I mean, that's somebody's livelihood.
Yeah,
You get to change someone's life right
absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
So I was always excited. I was always excited to meet people. And the weird part is that, you know how I always say that you must have a sign on your head when you've
Mhm.
been one of those people that have already had some crappy crap happen behind you?
Mhm.
It feels like it continues to perpetuate through this. In an interview, I had a gentleman come in and I had my own office and I said, yep, come on in, close the door. We're going over your paperwork. And I'm asking him interview questions. Now I have my computer to the side of me and I'm asking questions across the desk. I'm, typing in his answers as I fill out, questionnaires. And he says, can I just stop you for a second? And I was like, sure. He goes, I just have to say, I really, really want to F you on your desk right now. This was in the middle of an interview.
Classy.
I was like, oh,
Well, good.
okay. Well, I went over onto my computer while he said, I said, well, let's just go ahead and get back to this interview. Thank you for that information. As soon as he started, talking again, I was already rewriting his stuff and getting his denial letter ready and verifying. I said, oh, I just need to stop you with that. What's your address real quick? And so as
Yeah.
soon as that interview was done, I brought that little piece I printed that paper out, gave it to my assistant. I said, yeah, could you just mail this out? Thanks. It was a denial for a position because if you can say that to me, imagine what they could say to coworkers. Oh, hell no. Nah. I'm
Yeah.
HR, dummy. That was stupid. So, and the other was like we would go out, and while in Mexico, I didn't have any issues, but in El Paso, in America, I sure did because gentlemen would come up and grab my hoo-ha or my butt anywhere. Yes. I put my finger in someone's face. I'm 5'10". I'm an Amazonian. I said, any part of you that touches me, you're not getting back. I'll rip it up and beat you with it. I was done. I was not having nobody touch me
Yeah.
anymore. um, I started to go bald with my medication, like bald patches, not like complete bald. I mean, even now you can still see like I still always have this divot where it won't grow
Mhm.
back anymore. But I used to wear bandanas, so I could pull my hair over. And at that time, my hair was even longer than it is now. Like right now, my hair is pretty long. Like it
Yeah.
goes down to my waist. Back then it was even longer, like probably twice the length it is now. I didn't really want to cut it while I had long hair, so I wore a bandana and kept my hair tucked so my bald spots wouldn't show. Well, my boss pulled me into her office and said, "You know you look stupid, right?" I said, "Excuse me?" She says, "With this bandana thing, you look stupid." She left the office. I'm in my office just sitting there like, "Oh, what?" What? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Um, I called up my mom, and I said, really loudly, and it was like 7 p.m. at night. The office normally closes at 4. I thought I was the only one there at the office. And on the phone with my mother, I said, "That effing B word just told me I look stupid because I'm going bald because of cancer."
Mm, that is so ridiculous.
I got a letter. I got a letter from our boss, our big boss, that stated, "This is your final warning. You were tagged for saying a swear word in the office against another coworker."
Oh my.
Well,
Oh, I'm
I was a
sorry.
little vengeful in those days because I didn't know what to do with all that aggression I had from living all this crap. So how I
Mhm.
dealt with it was saying, "You know what? You can go ahead and I'll give you my 2-week notice now, sir.
Yeah.
I'll be good. I'm good. If we can't be surrounded by somebody who's sick and you don't even want to give me 5 seconds to ask me why that would be said, then I'm just a number to you, and that's okay by
Mhm.
me." So I moved on, did personal sales for a little while, because my ex and I decided we want to move. Well, he wanted to move. We were getting shot at a lot,
Mm.
in El
Yeah,
Paso. Do you
it's rough.
remember, like, the cartel was crazy? Our
Mhm.
neighbors were stolen and people's hands were cut off and body parts, and it was just nuts. And we were in a gated community. I mean, you couldn't get safer. I lived on a golf course, for God's sakes. So I said to my ex, I was like, "Okay, where do you want to go?" I said, "Because your background, we have lots of options. We can go about anywhere." I said, "Personally, I'd like to be closer to a beach if we could."
Mhm.
And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, if it's my choice, since you pretty much had the first choice of the first 10 years of our life, why don't you let me choose a spot, and I'll find everything. I can help you find a job and all." HR background, right? He's like, "Okay." So I actually picked out Virginia. I wanted to go to Virginia in the Chesapeake Bay area. I thought I could land him a job. We could go into Langley and work FBI. That wasn't a big deal. He had a top secret SCI, blah 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 clearance, higher than the president, and he was already working. I got him a really good job working a government position, which I don't know where. It's somewhere in New Mexico. I wasn't allowed to know where, kind of a thing. That's was his second job. Um, So I said, "Well, we still want to make changes in this world." I was still doing the do as much as I can for everybody. I was donating money, helped to build a women's shelter for people that were abused. And I did book bags every Christmas and Thanksgiving dinners for the homeless. I would do book bags for the kids that were out in the streets and stuff for anybody that were coming over that would have, like, the quick blankets, a book bag with note paper, a calling card, a Walmart card with money on it.
Mhm.
I did 10 book bags every Christmas because it's what I could afford to do, and I love doing it,
We do that.
giving back. Yeah. It's just nice. It's just
It's
a nice thing to
amazing.
do.
It feels great.
Of course, I personally get a really big dopamine hit from those, so I'm always like, "Woo,
Mhm.
woo."
It helps them
Well,
and
so
it helps us. It I don't know, it just I don't know, it helps my spirit, it helps my
yeah.
soul. It's
Susie,
not like I
we're almost at
pat
an
my back.
hour.
Oh, you're
Are
fine.
you
Go ahead.
okay?
No, I'm good.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
back. I'm good. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. I'll just keep jabbering then.
Yeah, you just keep talking.
Oh, okay. So, like I said, we looked at Virginia, it was Chesapeake. I found land that I wanted. I was like, "We can build our home." I was like, I already started the processes. I already started calling up there on land. And I said we started saving money because we were making decent money between the two of us. We were making really good money. We were
Mhm.
saving for, our aim was to have 5.5 million in a Roth IRA fund put away. I've been saving since I was 18, because that's something we don't learn in school. And I was like, "That's stupid. We need to know
Absolutely.
about money." Money in cursive. I don't know why we aren't doing that. Whatever. Um, so he was on board with it. And then all of a sudden, and I'm talking like I just sold our house kind of sudden, says, "We should move back to New York, back and buy your grandparents' house." I have fond memories of my grandparents. I grew up a lot there whenever I
Mm.
didn't feel comfortable at home, or if my mother was working a lot of hours, which was quite often, and Satan wanted to go do whatever he does. If he wasn't working, then he was normally fishing, hunting, or with his friends or whatever. It wasn't really a family situation at that point. My brother and I just existed. But at grandma and grandpa's house, that's a whole new world.
Oh
So I've
yeah.
been traveling with my grandparents since I was 3. And, like, mom can tell you stories that'll make you break her heart because she hated it that I would leave, and I was just like, "This is great," you know.
Yeah.
And she was like, "That's your bestie," you know. I was like,
Oh.
"Yeah, but I'm having a lot of fun."
Yeah.
Well, and in my family, they were excited to get me, closer to home and all that. And I was like, "Yeah, but the town I grew up in wasn't good to me. I don't know if that's really a smart decision." But my ex and I talked about it. He was like, "I think it'd be better because it'd be a smaller town and I could, know everybody around me. And I don't think my PTSD would be so bad and I could do
Yeah.
this." In my gut, I'm thinking this is the worst decision of my life.
Yeah.
And but the other side of my brain was, well, we've already done it this far. We can succeed anywhere. You're with your partner. It's been 11 years. It's been a long time since you've been back home. This could
Yeah.
be okay.
Yeah. Maybe it'll work out. Like, what if it all works out? Kind of thing. Uh,
My birthday is May 10th, and I moved back to my hometown in 2012, May 28th. Um, Now we went back home. And he didn't even line up a job because I said, "Well, you got to get yourself lined up a job. I'll get mine lined up." I actually did my interview for a job I landed over the phone on the way moving everything we owned from El Paso to small town in New York.
mhm.
And he had nothing. And then I don't know how much you know about somebody with PTSD that
A lot.
it feels like they have nothing going on at that point. Yeah.
Mhm.
It got worse. We were aiming at buying my grandparents' 3,800 square foot home. She was downsizing. Um, and we didn't want to lose out on the home because I had a lot of good memories there, but I was like, this is too much. It was too big for us. I mean, we stayed in one room, and unfortunately, my family's one of those, "Yeah, I know you own it, but we used to own it. I'm just gonna walk on in."
Yeah.
We got disturbed. We got walked in on the bedroom once, you know what I'm saying? Tom went, "No, no,
Yeah.
thank you."
Yeah.
So we moved. We moved in the same town, but we just moved away from that, into a smaller house. Because
Yeah.
oh hell no.
Yeah.
Uh, we bought a house that was 2 doors down from my parents' home. And I thought this will be okay because I got a really good relationship with my mom. And maybe now that I'm adult and I've been married for years,
Mhm.
10 years now, that he can understand that I'm okay. I was still reaching for that.
Yeah.
Can we just be all right? Can we just put the past in the past and move forward? No. No, it didn't work that way actually. What happened was, my ex landed a good job in Vermont, and then I landed another job in Vermont. This is when because in where I lived in New York, it was only a car ride over, and you're already in Vermont. So if it's super close.
Mhm.
Um, Everybody kind of worked there if you didn't work at
Yeah.
the town, big areas in town. Um, that's when I became an interior designer over there. I did plumbing. I became a plumber and an interior designer in 2012. And then my ex, worked for a school. He was their IT guy, which I thought, good. It'll be calm. It'll be easy. All he's doing is MacBooks. He doesn't have to worry about government crap anymore. Hopefully he can relax. This is what he wanted, right? The real small town glory, not all the extra. And it wasn't even about the money because that wasn't what our problem was. It was just finding a place for him to be him.
Mhm.
Um, he quit that job. He didn't like it any longer, and he got another job. And at this time, I during after I had cancer, I went to early menopause. So that was fun.
Yeah.
At 28. Yeah. Now I didn't know you could feel your blood go from your toes to your fingertips in 2 seconds, and there your whole body heated up, and you were about to rip someone's face off. That was interesting.
Mhm.
Uh,
I
that was
know.
6 months of that. So I didn't have the ability to get pregnant any longer. So I was just like, okay, after he's got his job, I've got my job, we're doing good. One night we go and sit down to go have a conversation with another family member. And I'm just sitting there and they're having a conversation about my goodie box and what I have the capabilities to do. As in, oh, well, she can have a baby, but you should just probably adopt. You should get surrogacy and blah, blah, blah. Wasn't a question for me. They were having questions talking amongst themselves about my
Mhm.
body. I I got to the point where they're like, and my ex says, well, she can't have it naturally. I don't want anything. That broke me. I started to cry. And I just sat there silently crying because I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I don't really have that ability anymore, sir. And I
Completely
don't know
not
how to fix that
fault,
for you.
you know.
Right. I'm not qualified to fix this. So I don't know
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. That hurt.
Oh,
That
yeah.
hurt a lot. That was 2014. And things just kept getting worse. On top of that, I tried to get him into like the American Legion and try to get him into the other spots of, getting back with camaraderie with military members because my father only had 2 years in the Air Force and he didn't see war. So he couldn't see eye to eye and and then my husband at the time wouldn't have been like, okay, yeah, this is all right. We'll get through this. No, what happened was my neighbor started popping off fireworks and they were landing on our house. I asked them to stop.
Mm.
And my father got involved and said, my ex-husband has to stop acting like a P word, man up and start getting over himself. Um,
Mm.
my my ex kind of flew off the handle and he started to do things like run away and started sleeping in trenches and I got hit a lot in his sleep. I kissed him one night and he woke up and said, "What the hell do you think you're doing? I'm going to kill you, you stupid insurgents." I mean, I was his enemy, and that's how you had to kind of skate around. Was I had bruises down my back, and I mean, he was hitting me in his sleep. He was fighting in his sleep, fighting me. I literally had a bridge of pillows
Yeah.
that huge bridge of pillows, and when before he left, we used to sleep by holding hands. We fell asleep holding our hands all the time. And I didn't do that from the time we get back from Iraq. It was like I said, a different person.
Mhm.
And I couldn't stop it. I tried calling. I called AMVETS. I called every which way I could to help him with this. I got him on to a routine for PTSD stuff, and it wasn't working. And I was trying to get help, like because I knew what it was to get help, to have somebody, a therapist, and go through it and talk it out. Circa 2015, I got headhunted into a new position, a higher level interior job, so I could do all those big $5.5 million homes.
Mhm.
Um, on December of that year, I had to start turning out the lights. I got such a bad headache. I couldn't function, and then I couldn't eat, and I started throwing up nonstop. And my headaches were so bad. I was asking at that point, can somebody drill a hole in my head? The
Mm.
pressure was so bad. They had to take me to the ambulance, to the hospital, and they were looking to see if I had a brain tumor. They were looking through my ocular nerves, and it wasn't a brain tumor. The Thankfully, the hospital I went to had a really good doctor on and said, "I think you need to go over to Burlington, like probably go over to Vermont or and get better look, or go to Albany, or, to the bigger hospitals to get reviewed, because he says something's not right. So tracks the beginning of my health. In I started out with, they did an ocular test and they said that my brain pressure was from too much spinal fluid,
Mhm.
and it was called idiopathic hypertension, or IHH, or something like that.
Hmm.
And I had to get spinal taps, but not like just a regular spinal tap. They put this needle in your spine and you had to leave it there for about 30 minutes while your fluid kept falling out. I had to get 7 of those
Mm.
in a day. I spent weeks in the hospital because I just wanted an answer at that point, to be like, what's wrong with me? I couldn't go back to work. I literally lost an entire month. I went and had a coma. I was in a coma from like all of April to May 3rd. I just wouldn't wake up. I couldn't wake up. Then it wasn't until March 13th that I got diagnosed, and they told me, you have multiple sclerosis. I
Wow.
cried. I was
Yeah.
just really happy. I just wanted to know what was wrong with me. Why was it happening? What was going on with my body? And and it's not that I was excited to have a disease. I just needed to
No,
know what the
that you
hell I
want
was
an answer.
fighting.
That's me,
Right.
my cancer. Like right now, I'm waiting on a PET scan. And I was discussing it
Yeah.
with the doctor today, and it's like, I am terrified to have them and excited to have it all at the same time because I'm like you. I'd rather know. Like, if you
Hmm.
know what you're dealing with, you can deal with it. And so I understand completely what you're talking about. Like, you're not happy to have a disease. You're just happy to know what the hell you have because something's going
Yes.
on with your
Let me
body.
research. Let me do it myself. Let me
Yes.
look. I
Yeah.
need to know what's going on. Cause, and here's the thing. And through this whole thing, I found out that going through my insurance first, to be like, okay, here's what's going on. Since you guys don't want to pay for all this, let's see what I can get done. Can you guys just tell me what I can do? And then I will order those up and do it that way. So I
Mhm.
can make my trip done all at once. I held the record for the longest MRIs in Vermont. I have to get, so because I have 7 brain bleeds, a stroke, and 2 brain bleeds, or 2 bleeds on down my spine.
Mhm.
Um, I have to go into an MRI machine and wear a cage over my face, and then with a non-moving headpiece. And I'm in there for an hour and 45 minutes.
Mm.
And then I get a flush, and then I do it again, because MS is all over. It's from your head down. And I have a very different type of aggression. I made the medical book 3 times. Now, in the middle of this, I, after I get my medication, my ex kept taking my meds and kept trying to kill himself. And then me, a lot. It was, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say that out loud. He tried to unalive me and himself.
You're fine.
Um,
We're far
it
enough
was
along. They're not
okay.
now, so you're
Okay.
you're fine. Besides, if they demonetize one video, I don't care. So go ahead.
I'll send you money.
No,
Um,
not necessary.
so he started taking my medications and trying to hurt me with them.
Mm.
And I was already taking shots of Copaxone, and I was deadly afraid of needles. Like, take a shot every day. And Copaxone, it felt like someone was pouring liquid lava right inside of your stomach or in your thigh, whatever fatty part you're putting it in.
Mhm.
You're poisoning your body. I was like, all right, I've already been through this once with cancer crap. Here we go again. Um, and I couldn't understand why he would do that. And he would take my pills and put them on the ground and stomp on them.
Mm.
Um, and he kept saying things like, if I'm going to go, you're going to go kind of stuff. And I had the cops called. I had to call the cops once because I couldn't stop. I was too weak. I was too weak.
So while you're
And
going through
it
this,
hurt.
you're still having to deal with the abuse while
Yes.
you're going through this new at that point MS, you
Hmm.
know, diagnosis to make it worse.
PCOS. Right. PCOS, multiple sclerosis. I mean, it just kept, and then with MS, I got Parkinson's. I
Mm,
stopped. They gave me medications that made me stutter. They gave me medications that gave me seizures. I was fainting nonstop. And at the same time, this is the harder part. At the same time, all I wanted was a baby. And I'd lost hope of ever having that happen. And for some reason, my period started again.
mm,
And I don't know why. Um, and I think it was because I decided since I couldn't work anymore, because they put me on disability with MS, uh, I was like, maybe I could foster,
mhm,
make some, and anybody, any child,
mhm,
make a home. Um, and during that time, I mean, we went to classes and everything because you have to become a foster mom.
mhm,
Uh, this we had a boy in our home for a short period of time. Uh, and he was an older boy because they said they're the hardest to have homes.
mhm.
And I was like, well, I was gonna ask for a baby. Most people, that's what they want when you
Yeah,
do
like
it. But I said I couldn't say no because I couldn't say no to a child, any child. That's all I ever wanted. It was on my list, and my list was already breaking down from getting sick and not being able to do what I wanted to do. But I figured a baby, I could do that. I could just show how to love a baby. I can do that. But my ex was it was too much. Like his sickness. I just
mhm,
remember sitting on the couch and our the foster child that we had was at his doing his visitations. And I said to my ex, I said, I don't feel good. Like I'm really sick. I'm really, really sick. There's something wrong.
mhm.
I'm gaining all this weight and I didn't understand why. And his statement to me was, well, I think I'm a little, like I'm more important. It's like, well, I'm sick too. Don't you think I should probably get the attention? It broke me right there.
Yeah,
Come,
it's like a
come to
slap on
find
the wrist.
out, I wish we would have gone to the hospital that day because what I didn't know was that I had another tumor growing inside of me. But I put it behind me because he said he needed the help first.
Mm,
So that's what I did. Was I ignored that and I just said it's fine. And I continued to try to help. And bad things happened. And when the police got called for something, I lost my ability to ever become a foster mom again. And I lost my ability to have that young man in the house. And that was my 40 days of being a foster mom. It was my only chance to be a mom. And that one killed me. That's probably the hardest because if there was anything I could do would be give love. And that's why I give everybody love that I see.
yeah, you do that.
Now, now, at this time, I'm really contemplating whether or not my marriage is right. Because I'm at this point, I'm thinking, two sick people
Yeah,
in a marriage where they need a lot of attention, and that's not fair because he needs more support than I can give. And I need support, more support than he's giving or able to give. And I said to him, I said, "Are you maybe we should divorce?
Mm.
Because I don't know what to do. I can't make you happy and I can't solve this anymore. I can't. I'm eating my feelings away. I'm putting all this stuff. I'm gaining all this weight and I don't understand. I can't work anymore. The one thing that I want, all my dreams are breaking
Mhm.
and you don't want to help." So, and he's like, "Well, I could just die with just you and I'd be okay." I said, "But that's not what I want."
Mhm.
I said, "And if our paths aren't going the same way, why do we want to put ourselves through that?" I said,
Mhm.
"I'll always love him. I always will." Well, we started renting out a room above because I just needed another body there. He was still working and doing what he had to do. But it got to the point where I didn't let him stay in our bedroom any longer because he got so violent.
Mhm.
Um, I kept getting pushed down the stairs and stuff. At that time, I was using a walker. Like I
Mm.
said, I was 33. I had a stroke, had to relearn how to walk, had to relearn. I'd wake up and just start speaking German nonstop or French or Spanish or whatever language happened to be on my platter at that time because that's what my brain was doing. It was trying to cycle and save itself.
Mhm.
Um, during that coma, uh, my ex confessed to me and my mother that he had um, essayed me while I was there in a coma. And my father stated, "Well, you're married."
Mm.
I said, "Well, I couldn't tell him no." And I didn't want
If
him
you
because I
can't
knew that
tell
kind
him
of broke
if
him.
you can't tell him yes, it's essay. You know?
Right. And I didn't know what to do with that. It made me really angry. I was
Oh, yeah.
really angry at him. And I hurt both of us because I said to him, "What the F is wrong with you? I don't want you anywhere near me." And he moved. We had a side shed that we had built out the side, and it had power, and I put an AC in, and a bed, and all that, and a refrigerator, and a television, a computer. Like he had his own little area.
Yeah, a little
He
cabinet.
started sleeping out there. Yeah. But what I didn't know is that he was taking the money that I was giving for our bills, and he was drinking, quietly drinking, or not going to work, and I couldn't move. So how would I know?
Mhm.
Uh, and then the gentleman that lived upstairs, the young man that lived upstairs, I was helping him get through school because he quit school. Uh, and one day I was on Monday, and I got a phone call, and I was supposed to head up to go up north to bring the young man up to his family. I helped this gentleman. He was also foster kid, but I kind of just adopted an adult.
Mhm.
And I got a phone call and it stated, "Hey, is your ex-husband there?" He's, insert his name. And I was like, "No, he should be with you." And he goes, "Oh, he did it." And he hung up on me. And I was like, "What the hell was that?" I called back and I said, "What's going on?" No, actually, I tried call my ex and he wouldn't answer the phone nonstop. And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, he got in a car accident. He's dead. Something's wrong."
Yeah.
I'm calling the cops. I'm calling the cops. I called the state police. I called all my friends who were cops. Any information I could get, I was trying. Calling the hospitals, calling anybody I could. And the cops called me back and said he's safe. He's just he's on the other side of New York. Um, and I said, "Excuse me?" He says he's safe. He's just on the other side of New York. I was like, "What do you mean?" And they called him and told him that he actually should call me and inform me what's going on because that's confusing. Uh, and he answered the phone when he was right around Illinois and near Chicago. And I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, I'm out of here. I can't stand you. I'm done. I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. All you want is what you want. And I mean, the allegations were disgusting. It was, you're a druggie. You're a whoa,
Mm-hmm.
it just sounded like Gary right at me all over again. It was just nonstop. I couldn't stop him what he was doing. And then to be abandoned, um, I was broke. I literally, I'm pretty sure I lost my mind. I called my mom. My mom had to come over and try to pick up my pieces. The gentleman was there, didn't move. Like, he stood still and helped to take care of me. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I kept apologizing to him because my husband had left me. Um, and not only,
I
yeah, I
understand
know.
though. I understand though.
He was gone for a couple weeks. And then all of a sudden he popped back. And I didn't know if he was, I thought, oh, okay, he come home. We're going to get through this. I'm thinking, okay, so please get that stuff set up, make sure you get stuff to work. And I've got to go. I had an appointment. I had to be up in north part of New York. And I was going to be up there for a few days. Yeah. Well, what had happened is Satan went and helped my ex pull out whatever he needed and take the car I just bought and move away to abandon me fully. Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
So when I come home, it was to an empty house. I lost everything. He
Mm.
took what he wanted and went, and then he wouldn't talk to me. He just kept saying, "You deserve to die. You're no good. Um, you, you wrecked my life." Um, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was
Especially
stuck in this
because your
house.
health was in a bad way. It'd be hard enough if you were healthy.
Yeah.
But when you're already struggling with your body turning against you, because that's what
Yeah.
MS is. That's, it's your body attacks you. It's your body turns against you.
Yep.
So when all
And then
that's
it
already going on.
affects your brain because you can't do what you normally can do. And you're like, what is wrong with me? How come I can't do this?
Yeah.
I went into a really bad depression, and I a lot of things were happening and I couldn't understand. And then I was going to the doctors, and when I had my mom had taken me over and I had to stay for a couple of days, they were like, we have to take a piece of something out of inside of me, out of my girl zone, because I was like, I'm in a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
It was getting worse, and I'm not joking. It looked like I was pregnant. Come to find out, I had a 22-pound tumor had grown inside of my girl area
Now, is that the
because
tumor
I
I
kept
saw a
losing.
picture of?
Yeah, that's
Incredible.
the doctor took a picture of it. That's the doctor's phone.
Mm-hmm.
He did the operation. Um, I'd gotten up over 300 pounds,
Well, 20
and
something of it was the tumor. So, yeah.
and you gain weight, and your thigh, everything's messed up because your whole body's just gaining all this weight trying to do
Mm-hmm.
something what it can with all the poisonous things in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that, it took I took an ovary and the fallopian tube and part of my uterus and close to my cervix, and so I'm half the woman I used to be. Um, but it figure this one out. But I still have a period with it. Oh, I
Well,
was
you
like,
have an ovary.
right. I get 6 months out of the year, kind of fun.
Yeah.
So I just figured with PCOS and all that, I'm effed if I ever thought about having children.
Yeah.
But the thing was, is after the tumor and all that, and after I have no idea where my husband had gone. In order to get any medical, I had to hunt him down for a divorce. Because at first I was pushing, like, I don't want a divorce. We can fix this. I don't want it. We've been married forever. Like, it's 18 years of our life is a long time to be married. And
Mhm.
I'd already put up with what? And I've already done so much. And I built this whole life with you. And we have a retirement and all that, like I could just see all this stuff. I said, and I know we could do this if we could work together. He didn't want that. So, in order for me to get any medical, I had to be completely away from him and get a divorce so I could get taken care of because
Mhm.
I had to get onto the state medical. Um, and I was in the middle of that, in the middle of him moving. I got a letter that I lost the house because he stopped
Mm.
making payments. So, um, and then they took away my vehicle that was for my medical vehicle because he stopped making those payments, and they took away the other vehicle that he had because he didn't make those payments either. So for the year he was home, he wasn't making those payments while I was sick. He was drinking our money away. So everything that I worked really hard for started to go away. And it
Mhm.
got worse because at the same time, my father was going around town explaining how not only was my ex-husband a POS because he couldn't man up for the military, and I make dumb decisions. But I'm sick and I'm living off the system. So I'm no good piece of crap now because I'm getting help from the system to live. Uh,
Which is what
I
it's.
decided I was just done. I just was done with him, and I literally stopped talking to him for that reason. Just I was just like, I can't. Now, the gentleman that rented upstairs understood what was going on, and he stuck through it with me through the whole thing, the divorce, everything. We were good friends. If it wasn't for him, I'd be dead because many times with all of this, I didn't understand what heat was with the MS and why I kept passing out. I couldn't be in the sun. I'm
Mhm.
passing out in the middle of the street. I'm passing out, smoking my face off of objects in the house. He kept catching me. He had to give me CPR twice and revive me. He literally saved my life.
Wow.
And after my divorce was done, a year after that, we started to date. Um, I think it was more like I was trauma bonded.
Mhm. Understood.
Um, because he was younger than me, and I'm not afraid of somebody who's younger than me. And he understood what I was going through, and he said he fell in love with me being sick because in my head it was, what the hell do I have to offer anybody? I'm sick and left alone, and every male in my family has left me that way. What was this going to be any different? Uh, Sorry, this one's hard.
Mhm.
So, um, being sick, I went over and my mom helped a lot. She would do everything. And this is also the pandemic, so I can't go
Mhm.
anywhere. My divorce happened over a phone because I couldn't travel to the state and they wouldn't give me a lawyer even though I asked to be represented. They didn't have enough because there was too many divorces going on. So I had to get a divorce without a lawyer, which I didn't agree to because I asked the judge for one. So but at this point, I was just like, whatever. I said, can I just have my $10,000 to bury my ass after? Excuse me. To,
No, you're fine.
I said, he took everything. I lost everything and he took my burial fund. Can I at least have that? Because that's all I saved it for. Um, I ended up with losing everything except for the $7,500 of the 10,000 I got from my burial fund. So Um, I went over to tell my mom what was going on, and I asked if Satan was there because I couldn't break down with him there because you can't be at your weak point around him. And she's like, "Oh, he's gonna be leaving." I said, "Okay, good." So I was like, "I'll come over and help do dishes." My mom works ridiculous hours doing what she does, and there's always that one chore in your house you absolutely hate.
Oh, yeah.
Hers is dishes. She doesn't like. She hates dishes. She's just like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
That's only because there's so many to get done sometimes. uh, and she's like, "Yeah, that's fine." And I said, "Oh, cool." I came over, and before we went in there, we're out in the front, and we were shucking corn. Yeah. Um, and my father was outside doing, I don't know what he was, just does whatever he does, walking around the yard making messes, I guess. Um, and I'm telling my mother, this is what's going on with my ex, and here's the things that he said, and this is what he wants. I just want to be done with this now. I just want to be done because it hurts too much. And then I said, and I just received a call from my insurance and my doctor, and they stated, I've got 7 years to live. This was 6 years ago. And my father perks up and says, "You deserve everything you're getting." Susie, I'm at the edge. I was at the
Yeah.
edge. And I stood up and I screamed to him saying, "F you. F you. F you. F you really hard. F you.
Yeah.
If you were a person on the street, I would not stop and talk to you because you're a bad human. You're a bad human.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with you." And I got in my car, took off, and I mean, I was a mess because this is the time I'm telling my mom that I've got 7 years according to the
Yeah.
doctors and insurance, whatever. And his interruption was basically, I got what? I deserve to die? I deserve everything coming to me? So I went to the 2 doors down. I didn't help her anymore because I had to stop. I had to get away. I get to my house and I'm shaking so bad, and I'm trying to explain to my boyfriend at the time, what's going on. I'm freaking out, like, and I can't stop, and I overdo it, and I crash right to the floor. I couldn't help it. Seizure right there, right in the kitchen. At that time, my boyfriend was working on a four-wheeler. He got pissed. Went outside, walked up the street, and went from the street and yelled from the street to my father and said, "What the F is your problem?"
Yeah.
And my father said, "You're my effing problem. Well, you got something to say, big boy? Come on up here. Come on up here and say something. What are you going to do, big boy? Jump, jump." Because that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And I can't tell the rest of that story. All I can say is that legally, I am 100% alone. And it wasn't by my choice again. Because at that time, I got pregnant. I got pregnant after that day. Um, and I don't know how. And I
Yeah.
got to carry this baby pretty far. Um, and my boyfriend at the time um, was facing some prison issues, jail issues due to what happened the day I told my father to F off.
Hmm.
Uh, and I was having issues with my pregnancy. Um, and at that point, we were really excited. I mean,
Hmm.
at that point, I was like 4 months along, 5 months along before he had to go and serve some time. And what we thought was going to be a short time didn't end up being a short time. And I won't see him before before my life ends, according to that. So, according to the doctors and what he was given, that's about as much as I can say. All I can say is that pregnancy alone and trying to do this, and then on top of it, I ended up with chorioangiomas, which are tumors on a placenta. And it was restricting our blood. Our blood flow wasn't correct. I wasn't getting enough. I kept bottoming out to about 33, where my blood pressure kept bottoming. And Taylor, because that's what we named him, Taylor kept skyrocketing. And we decided, well, we need to do a C-section. First of all, you had tumors removed and you've got a lot of issues in there. And because of this, we have to remove them this way, blah, blah, blah. So we had it set up for September 13th, Friday the 13th. And I went in and I just remember there was an issue and I was out. I guess my heart rate bottomed out and I was dead. And when I woke up, I had a C-section and I thought, where's my baby? Thinking he could be in the NICU. They could save me, but they couldn't save him. So I had to do that alone. Again, I had to do that alone. And yeah, I had my mom. But it was different. Because that's not who I wanted there to welcome our baby and keep strong. And sorry, Susie. I just have to wipe my face. So Taylor died. I bring him wherever I go. When he comes in, my mom comes and sees me. So wanting to try to live after thinking, I have no way to put anything forward. I just wanted to put a little piece of me in the world. And I thought I'd done it. I thought I figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. And at that point, I thought, maybe I deserved this. Maybe I deserved it. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I didn't do right by my ex-husband and we got a divorce. Maybe I didn't take care. I was looking for any reason to find out, what did I do? What did I do to deserve to lose a child? It didn't make sense. With that, I lost all abilities to have a baby because the person I was with was taken away too. So at that point, I started getting messages from neighbors telling me that they had a pew and that for allowing something to happen to my father, which was the stuff I can't talk about. They were gonna shoot me. I got shot at over on the phone with 911. And I got told my house smells like pot. I should go to bed. It just kept getting worse because in the small town, everybody knows you. Everybody knows your dad. And he's older and more established, and I had moved away for a long time. He'd already poisoned the well by saying all my choices were bad. He already passed me around to everybody there. I was just breaking down all the way. I couldn't figure out what to do. And I lost my house, so I ended up homeless. I ended up moving homeless. I turned in what I could for my life insurance, bought a piece of land, and a camper, and lived in my car.
I'm plugging this in again. I'm unplugged.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
So I decided that for my own personal health and my mental capacity, I needed to move away from that dark, disgusting, twisted town that just kept bringing me nothing but pain.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like going, move, move away. In the background
I
of my
did.
head, I'm like going, tell her to move away. Tell her to move.
At first, it was hard because I was so sick. It's so hard to move when I have no power. And it was like everybody backed away because of what was going on. I mean, I got a little bit of help here and there, but
Yeah.
my mom and I moved me. We moved me many hours away. I spent thousands of dollars moving me.
Mm.
I used my life, what I was worth, which was not very much, well under 100,000. And I lost everything in my marriage. He took it all. Uh, and I started over with nothing.
Mm.
And I bought property, and I have a home I built on it, the one that got burglarized. And it's not 100% done. It takes time and money and
Yeah.
patience and some help. And then I'm in therapy, and
Whoops.
I'm in a safer spot, but I'm by myself again,
Oh.
starting it all over. Well, that's why I reached out to this
How
community
far are you
because
from your mom? Are you very far from your mom now?
I'm hours. Yeah.
Yeah, hours.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went. I mean, I'm
She,
not looking for logistics. I just meant like, are you like 10 minutes, 10 hours? You know, that kind of thing. Like you're a while away.
like, it's going to take her, if you plan in the morning, if you're planning on coming, leaving in the morning, you'll be here in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Kind of a deal. She lives halfway between my brother and I, so
Yeah.
that she can come visit us.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and look at some of the chat. And how about we pick up
Yes.
where we're leaving off now on Friday? Is that good
Perfect.
for you?
Perfect timing.
I think that
Yeah.
that's kind of where you're at. Is kind. I've been kind of thinking, let's find a good
You were
spot. I think
right
that.
on time.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's a good
Because this
spot.
next
I'm
part
not going
would
to
be
go
all
through
about
the
what's
whole
going on now.
chat, but I am going to go
Right.
through a lot of it. I've starred some comments, and so we're going to look at the starred ones. So some of them are going to be from when we first started. So
Okay.
anyway.
Oh,
We're
Miss
gonna
Susie, I
kind of
made this so long. I'm sorry.
no, 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 no. You're fine. Absolutely. I got one right here. Says Brooke Elliott is amazing from a girl.
Mm, love you.
Yeah, and that's sweet. Joe McCoy says, "Welcome to Brooke. Remember that telling your story is hard. Kindness is the way to approach this. Thanks." Yes. And that's what I want from my chat. I want everybody to be kind to you. And I think they will. I have the best chat, y'all. Like my
Oh,
chat,
I have never
like,
worried about it.
yeah, my chat is like we are all like the kindest hearted people on this channel. I never have any.
It's so easy.
Every once in a while, I have somebody that comes in that's just, I call them a baby troll because they want to be a troll, but they're not good at it yet. So they're like
You're
going,
almost there, pumpkin.
yeah, they're like, I don't like you. And I'm like, fine, bye. You know,
Yeah,
see ya.
yeah, yeah,
I don't like you.
yeah,
Oh, I'm going to just, burst into
yeah.
tears. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it hurt. Well, it hurt.
Yeah.
Do
Uh,
better. My dad's worse.
yeah. Yeah, Constance June says hi. Lots of people saying hi. Marilee, Marilee said if I ever need blood, that she's A plus or A positive, so she can help me out. Because I was
That's
saying
cute.
beforehand that I'm a little bit anemic, not enough to need a transmission or transfusion, transmission. Like I'm gonna shift into another gear. Like not enough transfusion yet. Me and the lady in the lab today were laughing over my inability to come up with words. And
Oh,
I said, and it's words I use all the time.
isn't
Like
that
like
annoying?
if it's something that is like far away from my normal speech, I can think of it. But
Yeah.
if it's something that I use in everyday speech, it's gone. It the word will just I'll be like I can see it. Like I can
Hmm.
literally see the word in my head. And
And it's stuck right here.
yeah, I can't
It's
say,
like, I know this.
yeah, another word. It's right there. What the hell is it? And it drives me nuts. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Fiona says, "Yay, Susie and Brooke. Hi to everyone in chat. So good to catch a live with you instead of all the replays. Can't wait to hear more of Brooke's story."
Well,
Gary Mackey was here just for a little bit and then he had to go to work. These late ones, we end up missing Gary because he has to go to work. So, but I did it late today because I had the oncology appointment and you never know if that's going to run 2 hours or 4. So I thought, oh, I'm going to go ahead and, because I didn't want to have to
right.
be like, okay, we're postponing again.
Yeah, my mom's working to 11. She just is watching this during work. So I feel
Yeah.
bad. She's probably crying at work.
Yeah.
Sorry, mommy.
Marilee's asking, how are you, asking your mom, how are you doing after the first live?
I checked in with her before,
Yeah.
middle, and after.
Yeah. Your mom says it was hard, but I got this. Thanks to everyone here. Aww.
Love you, mommy.
Joe McCoy says he's talking to your mom and says, "Welcome, Brooke is a wonderful person. We are blessed to get to know her." Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And we've got your mom's here, Rika's here. Blake,
Rika!
Blake Reed is here. That Blake Reed, he is something else. He is,
Blakey? Oh my goodness.
I know it. I'm just, a lot of them are just saying hi. So I'm just kind of going over them or they're just putting hearts. So you're getting lots of love. I'm going to try to figure out how to make it where you can see the chat because there's a way, but I've not figured it out yet. Your mom said when she giggles, she's nervous.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Aw. Mischief Managed says, Brooke, most 16-year-olds thinks they know exactly what love is. Exactly. So you were great. Mischief
I,
Managed also said Satan didn't like him. Bonus points for boyfriend.
right? That's why
True.
I was with him for 18
You
years.
know,
Heck yeah.
I feel so bad for you, obviously, but for your ex too, because
Mm-hmm.
he was a good person
Mm-hmm.
and the war changed him.
Yes.
He he wasn't pretending to be a good person. He was a good person. And the
Yes.
war changed him. So that's sad too, you know? Not as sad
At
as
our
what
divorce,
you.
when you do you know how you do your divorce and you have to sign your paperwork at the very end after the court stuff? At the very end, I wrote him a letter, and it was mostly just to tell him thank you for giving me the love he was able to give me and the life that he was able to provide with me and the fun that we did have. And I thanked him for all the amazing moments. And I
Mhm.
apologized for not only just being in the war and what happened, that we didn't get to fulfill
Yeah. Yeah.
the big dream, right? So
Yeah.
that's when
It,
I wrote him a love. I wrote him a note to the old one, you know.
yeah. To the man you married. You wrote him a note to the man you married, even though you had to give it to the man you divorced, which is
Yeah.
sad. Because I feel like a lot of it, that the man that I married, my first husband, was not the man that I divorced. He got really into alcohol. He drank a lot and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
he ran with some people that were not good for us. And so we had problem, not like you, not like you, thank God, because I'd have probably killed somebody, to be perfectly honest, because I'm not nice sometimes. But yeah, I can understand the whole concept of you marry one person and you end up with someone else, but they're in the same body. And it's
Mm-hmm.
weird. So Cricket Cinema's here saying hi. Your mom's getting lots of love. Eric Rader's here. Says hi, Susie and Brookie. That Eric, I think I have a little bit of a crush on him. We might have to struggle over him.
I tell him all the time. I tell him all the time. I write him. I'm like, I'm enjoying your Aztec. I don't think he knows what to do with me yet.
Yeah. I think if he came on my channel, I'd just be like, oh, hi. You know,
Hi, Eric. I love
you
you.
just talk and I'll just sit and listen. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just like I'm spitting on myself. Drooling.
Hey, Eric. See what you're
Hey,
causing?
Eric, you're making me drool. If he's still in here, I'm going to be really embarrassed. And if he's not, somebody will tell him.
Well, we're going to turn real rosy.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see what's on here. They're talking about living in Ireland and in Scotland and all these things. If you mention something, you can tell where we were at on the conversation
Yep.
by what the chat's talking about. So I'm like, okay, they don't need me to comment on that. There is one. Eileen says German roads are terrifying.
They're so thin. Like, it's the craziest thing I've ever done my whole life.
Marilee says my daughter got married in a pub above a skating rink.
God bless her.
Yeah. Do you know that I have two cousins that the same woman married them and their husbands in the same gazebo, which was not egged for their weddings, but she farted in their ceremony too. Both of them. So I think she must have like some kind of health issues, because like that's
Unless God's speaking out her ass. Because that's just the craziest thing I done ever heard. Good and great.
Another weird thing was that she wore this huge, like full, like to the ground, full length fur coat. And we got married November 2nd in Arkansas. And it was like, I wore short sleeves, it wasn't cold, but she had this big fur coat on.
Maybe you got married by a Yeti.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Bigfoot actually came out there and married you.
Oh boy, your mom's feisty too. She says, makes me want to bitch slap my coworker. Just kidding. I don't think you're kidding. I'm believing like comment 1, not believing comment 2.
Yeah, mom.
Yeah. They're telling me don't overdo it. I'm like, I'm not. I'm fine. I'm leaning up against my bed, feeling good.
Yeah, you can cut me off whenever. You're making me feel. I felt bad.
No, you were fine. I was really into it, and then I looked up and I was like, "Oh, we are getting along." But then, I thought, I know where she's coming to on this story, and so I know that like a good, like cut off, space is coming. So I was just like,
we're right up for the next one.
Yeah. Joe McCoy says, I'm speechless. I have to digest this. As a husband and father, this is difficult. Marilee says, Brooke, you're amazing. Your mom says, stay strong, my sweet girl. Here's another one from Joel. Joel has got some good ones. Him and Blake are amazing. And Gary Mackey. I have 3 that have a lot of good things to say. So Joel,
beautiful thing.
Yeah. Joel says, my dear Brooke, I can't really express how I'm feeling. You are brave and strong. Most would crawl, but you stand strong. I am old enough to be your father, and I say this. I am very proud of you. So there you go. You got your little adopted dad.
That gave me a really cold chills up my arms, really.
Yeah. You have an auntie, and now you have like an adoptive dad. You couldn't get much better than Joel McCoy. I mean,
Right. Who's eloquent with words, and I could just be like, hey, yo.
So now you don't have to claim Satan as your dad. You got Joel.
Yay!
Yeah. Oh, Eric Rader's on here with a bunch of hearts. I'm trying to see. Okay, that was a while ago. Maybe he's not still here. Oh, he was
probably when I started crying.
Vegas, or he was going to drive up and down the strip at 7:30.
Yeah, he's on the strip right now, live. I'm sure.
Yeah. Aw, Susan P says this beautiful girl never deserved all this. Mm.
Thank you.
Aw, Susan P also says, Miss Karen, when you see Brooke, please hug her for me. Yes, hug her for all of us. Aw, a girl
Oh,
says
I
Susie and
do.
Brooke are precious. Oh, we're precious.
I am precious. A precious rock. You
Yeah.
throw it stuff.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, he says he's not live yet, but he will be because it's it's probably like what 6:30 there, so he'll be live in
Yeah.
about or 6:10, not 6:30.
Will
I
be
mean,
perfect timing with this ending just in time for us to go pee.
yeah, we can go to the bathroom, get a drink, and sit down and watch him drive. It's pretty bad when I'll just like watch someone drive.
I'd watch that
My husband's
man
like,
do
"What are you
laundry. I don't
doing?"
really care.
My husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm watching him drive." I also watch him staple things to poles.
Lots of staples.
Lots of staples. He's like,
You should have seen him with
I
the
love it.
glue.
Those things are not coming down, y'all. They are not coming down. They're gonna have to disintegrate. Like, they're because they are not. They're not coming down. The wind is not taking them down. Scientology.
That's
You can
my favorite part.
like a clawfoot hammer or a screwdriver or something pop all those staples out, but bless his heart. I love it.
That's why we call it hammer time, because he's
That's
breaking it
right.
down.
Oh gosh. Well, girl, that's the end of our chat, pretty much. I mean, they're like saying, we love you and all that still, but I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. And I
That's
can't
fine.
wait. We're gonna do it Friday if that's good for you. I'm gonna try
Yep.
to do about 4. So my time, central time.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try for about then. See how it works out. As long as I don't have we might have to do it at 5 because my husband has a CAT scan. But I'll get with you. I'll
Um,
know more tomorrow. I'll know more for tomorrow, so I'll get with you then. Oh, Karen says
I'll
this
be
is a
here.
beautiful group. I have to close up the yard, sending love and hugs. Be safe. And this is resting, Susie. Yeah, I'm gonna rest.
Hi, Mama.
Yeah, Mama's leaving. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. I love you, girl. I'm proud to be your auntie. Your adopted
Auntie
aunt.
Susie.
Yeah. Does that make Joe my brother? Maybe that makes
Yep.
him my brother. Yeah.
Brother from another mother.
Brother from another mother. Well, anyway, I'm going to go. Bye, chat. I love you guys too. Please, if you're on the replay crew, leave lots of messages and she can come back and read all your messages if you leave them on the replay crew. So, anyway, we love you and we will see you Friday. I'll probably see you tomorrow, but we will see you Friday.
Collectively.
Yeah,
Yes.
collectively, we'll see you Friday. Okay, I love you.
Okay.
Bye.
Love you. Bye, guys.